I've got the 175 GT sitting here. It's had all the wheels cleaned up, new bearings, tyres, tubes, rim tapes, whole works, and I made myself a new set of brackets for the headlamp. The original ones were ridiculously short, and all the cables were being actually pushed back by the headlamp, so that wasn't a particularly sensible arrangement. But of course notable is the lack of tank, and that's over on the bench. We've got the tank here sitting on an old duvet, and if I just zoom you in here, you can see that little hole. So that's where the fuel leak was coming from when I bought the bike. That's something I knew about. On the other side of the tank is this mess, and this is a Settebello tank, a dual outlet, and this outlet had been blanked off using a piece of metal and some chemical metal type stuff, you know, JB Weld equivalent, probably something inferior. And you know, this little divot's going to be fairly easy to deal with, you know, whether it be a little TIG fusion weld or a TIG braze it or whatever. And then this side is in fact the wrong side to suit the carburettor. The tap was fouling the float bowl. So this is a brake line banjo M10x1, which is the same thread, so I can put a little spacer on here and use that as a little blanking bolt. And I want to repair this and make up a new spigot for the tank. So I really want to cut this area out and actually try and flatten it as well. So I have a plan. I have a hole punch here. I was just looking to see whether it was actually yeah, it's a genuine Q-Max, and looks to be just about the right size. So I'm going to use a filler rod to guide the lower half inside the tank, and then see if we can get the bolt in up from the bottom and punch this area out, which will flatten it as well. And then I'm going to have to make a repair piece to fit in. Well, that was pretty successful. With only a little bit of fussing around, I managed to get the cutter installed and got it centered up pretty well. So I just need to punch that out. I'll bring you back when that's been successfully completed. Well, I think that counts as a success. Looks like I got really nice and central on the original sort of depression in the bottom of the tank. So I'll need to clean a little bit more paint back, and I need to make a piece to go in there and replicate this sort of arrangement. So I'll just have to have a little think about how I want to do that, and then we'll weld it on. I've got a very thin bit of sheet steel in the 3-jaw, and it's been roughed out to a disc from a line I scribed with a set of dividers. There's a notch in the jaws, so it's reasonably secure. Take it easy. I want to put a hole through the middle to start with. Bump the speed up. And I want to take that hole out to 10mm, and I'm going to use a step drill because they tend to work better on sheet steel. the speed down a little. Keeping the feed pressure really nice and low, just letting the edge do the work. Okay, I just want to deburr that. I'm just going to flip it around to hold it to deburr the other side. So that's the disc, and I rummaged through my scrap pile and found this rod that's already threaded on the end, so that's going to hold the disc so that I can skim the OD down so it is actually round. There's a little bit of float on the diameter I put in there, so just sort of averaging it out, it's not that critical. Put the lathe in low range so I can put some torque on it. And we'll come back into high, and let's skim this down. Not quite in gear. I think we're cleaned up all the way around. Yeah, looks like it. I'm just going to check the diameter. This is the piece I punched out of the tank after I cleaned it up and flattened it out, and we're just slightly larger than that, which is what I want. Okay, hopefully this setup is clear. I've got a bit of bar in here, and I've put a 45-degree chamfer on the end. Then I've got a spacer, which is actually the threaded boss that's going to get welded to this in the end to take the fuel tap. I've got a bearing centre. This is one with a replaceable tip, and there's no tip in it, which gives me a flat end. And all I'm going to do is take a body hammer, and I'm just going to gradually work my way round and form this over, and I might even put it in low gear and use the jog. forming quite nicely. The noise in the background is just the phone system. That's an internal page telling me the pot of tea's ready, but I'll just finish this. Okay, I haven't actually used this before. It seems to have a layer of lacquer on it, which is what you can see all flaking off. That, to be honest, is looking pretty good. So, yep, I think that's just about perfect. So, the boss gets welded on, and this gets welded onto the tank. Well, here's the completed repair to this fuel outlet on the tank. And I won't bring you in too close. My welding doesn't really stand up to scrutiny. It's been a while since I've done any TIG welding, and I'm actually struggling with my eyesight a bit these days. I need some reading glasses or a cheetah lens in the helmet. I was struggling a little, and it's not the cleanest metal around here. There's still a bit of contamination that was hard to get rid of. There might be a couple of pinholes I've got to deal with where I was getting some blowing, so I'm going to grind those back a little bit and check them out. The other side of the tank didn't go well at all. I was basically chasing rust, so I've made another repair piece and a spigot, and that'll also get welded in, and then the tank should be usable again, and we can put it back on the bike, and hopefully before long I'll be able to take the bike for a little bit of a test ride.